Pokemon Masters, my name is MegaPinkyena and thank you for clicking on my video. Right, to the Hoenn region. Back when I started this channel, I did a whole playlist of all of my favorite Pokemon from every region, and it's been 5 years, and I was like, I want to get to know you, and I want you to get to know me again, so I do want to hear your top 10 favorite Hoenn Pokemon and why. Like, do you have any cool stories? You know, let me know in the comments, but I was like, I just want to share with you my adventures and the things that I've done and why I love the Pokemon that I love now, because the list has changed over time. Not in a dramatic way, but just the way I think about the Hoenn region. For example, at the time that I recorded that first video, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were the latest games. I had just revisited Hoenn for the first time. But now, 5 years on, I can confidently say that I much prefer Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, specifically Sapphire and Emerald, and again, I'll get onto that. So here we go, this is just my personal opinion, these are my favorites, these are the ones that I love, my top 10 favorite Hoenn Pokemon. Starting off with number 10, Salamence. And this is a Pokemon that I don't really realize was on this list until really just the other day. Where is my phone? Where is it so I can show exactly what I'm talking about? It is in the other room, of course it is, okay. Oh no, it's right here. Okay, cool. Back in 2014, the ever-talented Braxton Burks, who, if you don't know, Braxton is just a fantastic composer, musician, is responsible for the Johto Journeys, Johto Legends album, and then recently has just released Time and Space for the Sinnoh region, and a long time ago did one for the Hoenn region. And just the other day, I was listening to this track, the Battle Elite Four. Thank you, Braxton, for being an absolute god with music, and thank you for just making me remember those times that I first entered the Hoenn Elite Four. Going chamber by chamber, taking down Sydney, who I didn't really care about, but Phoebe and Glacia, and then coming upon Drake, the Dragon Master, who wielded a Pokemon that I hadn't yet seen in the Sinnoh region. I just remember being like, I know Bagon is rare, I know Shelgon is rare, and then to see Salamence. Salamence is just this epic force in the Hoenn region to be reckoned with, and the Mega Evolution looks pretty cool as well, but generally just its regular form, it is everything right about a dragon Pokemon. And honestly, when it comes to the Hoenn Elite Four, just thinking about that, more so than the champion or the first trainer, the one I think about is Drake, and I think about Drake and his Salamence. Moving on to the other pseudo-legendary of the region. Sorry, Flygon, you don't really count. We're gonna go with Metagross. Now, yes, Metagross, of course, again, it's a massive Pokemon for the Elite Four. It's a massive Pokemon for Steven Stone. And it's kind of like, almost like the final boss in the game of that Hoenn Elite Four. So, yeah, of course, it was always gonna be memorable. But for me, Metagross was a Pokemon that actually, my first steps into the world of competitive started with Metagross. Back in Generation 5, Black and White 2, me and my best friend Dan, we would just have the odd game of Pokemon and we would competitively EV train some Pokemon up. Maybe they were the right natures, that kind of thing. And Beldum, Metagross, it was one of my first. Having it holding a choice band and having a number of very powerful attacks, switching in and out with Meteor Mash or Zen Headbutt or Bullet Punch to get priority or Earthquake. Metagross was a powerhouse I could always absolutely rely on, and when it got its Mega Evolution, it was a Pokemon that I used on pretty much every single team I ever played with in Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and ORAS. Or using its incredible Z-move, Corkscrew Punch, I thought that Metagross was an awesome Pokemon. And yeah, I still absolutely do. I don't love it as much nowadays. I think back then it was really much higher up on my list, but I've fallen in love with other Hoenn Pokemon. Like, for example, number 8, Latias. Honestly, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire does something that makes me love Latias and Latios a little bit less. I liked how mysterious Latias and Latios were in the original Hoenn games. I liked that it wasn't part of the story, although I do think soaring is a very cool feature. But it's always Latias, I never Latios. I always prefer prefer the red one. Maybe it's just because I prefer the color red, if you haven't noticed by the amount of red shirts I wear in my videos. Maybe, or maybe it's just because I started with Pokemon Sapphire, so that's the one I'm nostalgic for. Or maybe it's because in the Pokemon Heroes movie, Latias was just very, very sweet. And yeah, kind of weird how it wanted to kiss Ash, and Ash, did it kiss Ash again? It's a Pokemon. I don't know. I want it to be Ash though, so I wanted to make friends and maybe not kiss Latias. But the point is, Latias was cool, and I just always loved it more than Latios. And to this day, it's remained one of my favorite Hoenn designs. I also think in those original Hoenn games, it did a really good job of differentiating themselves, Latios and Latias, to Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, which were the previous roaming Pokemon. So they were different enough, but still upholding that legacy of being a really rare Pokemon that you can only battle a turn at a time before it flees. Very cool stuff, and I just really like it. Okay, moving on, number 7. The Regis, Regice, Registeel, and Regirock. Do I have a favourite? I don't think I like Regirock as much, and I'm kind of in between with Registeel and Regice. Regice though was a very formative part of this channel, with one of my first videos being about how deadly Regice is. I do like Regice quite a lot. And the Regis just really been interesting me lately with all of the stuff that we've been seeing about the Crown Tundra, with the new Regis, and this whole idea that when you play those original Gen 3 games, being a kid and discovering Braille in the back of the handbook and deciphering it and working out exactly what I have to do to enter all the chambers, a mechanic like that is sorely missed from other Pokemon games, and I think it's really cool. So yeah, the Regis definitely take a spot on this list, and in particular, Regice, thank you for being part of this channel's history. Which, again, that's a way that this list is going to differ from when I first did it, because when I first did it, that video had come out like 2 months ago. It wasn't history, it wasn't part of the channel's history. The channel wasn't even necessarily gonna go anywhere. I was just doing what I'm still doing, making videos and loving making them. But I had no idea that I'd be making an update to that list 5 years later, where those videos really acted as cornerstones for building this channel. So thank you, Regice. Cornerstones, slabs of ice, it's an igloo. We live in an igloo. No, that didn't work. Let's move on to number 6. And I know, so far I've just done pseudo-legendaries and more legendaries. I'm gonna stop after this, I promise. Kind of, there is one more. But Kyogre and its counterpart, Rayquaza. And yeah, except Rayquaza. Like I kind of alluded to earlier, Ruby was not my first version. It is not the original one I played. I'm very nostalgic for Pokemon Sapphire. And yeah, Kyogre's the big boss at the end of Sapphire. Until you get to the post-game, at which point Rayquaza is still the big boss at the end of Sapphire, because Rayquaza was available in both Ruby and Sapphire versions, so I kind of have the same feelings about Rayquaza that I do about Kyogre. Yes, we've moved on since then. We've had the Delta episode, and Primal Kyogre, and Mega Rayquaza, and they all look amazing. And my estimate of Rayquaza has kind of downed a little bit since the Delta episode, because while the Delta episode itself is really, really cool, catching Rayquaza is necessary, and so you can do it in like 2 Pokeballs. It's the battle with Deoxys that becomes really, really hard. So when it comes to Kyogre and Rayquaza, I really think about that first time playing Sapphire. Getting to the end of the game where the Kyogre's rainstorm just keeps on coming down, covering the whole Hoenn region is epic. Or cycling up through the Sky Pillar to meet and battle Rayquaza, again, epic. These Pokemon are the epic big bads at the end of Hoenn, and I just happen to play Sapphire before Ruby, and that's why Groudon has never really hit that same level of love from me. Okay, number 5, and it's a split one here, and I'm going to move away from some legendaries for a bit. Number 5, Gardevoir or Zigzagoon. And I know, that is a really weird, split to have. Not like Solrock and Lunatone, Zangoose and Survivor. This isn't a duo in any way. Gardevoir or Zigzagoon. I couldn't decide which belonged on this list and where along the list they belonged, and I just kind of realized they belonged together because my love for them is for the same reason. Right at the beginning of your Hoenn adventure, there are 2 Pokemon that you might want to add onto your team alongside one of the starter Pokemon. You might want to get, of course, Ralt, because having a psychic Pokemon that's that strong, that early, and Gardevoir is so, just generally usable with all of the TMs it can use, with Thunderbolt, with Ice Beam, with, all the stuff that it can do. You may well want to catch a Ralt on that first route, and you know it's there, you know it's the secret Pokemon of the first route, because Wally battles one, and Wally battles one with Zigzagoon. The other Pokemon you might want to put onto your team, because it's the opposite of Ralt. It's not the rare Pokemon of the route, it's the the common Pokemon of the route. So you're really likely to add one to your team, and it's got this really cool ability, Pickup, which means throughout your adventure, you might start just adding rare candies onto your Pokemon and getting a level up, all thanks to the work that your Zigzagoon's putting in. Plus, the new Galarian Zigzagoon is awesome. Obstagoon, not so much, but Galarian Zigzagoon is wicked. I love these Pokemon really though for the same reason, because they're the kind of first route Pokemon. They are the Pokemon that I'm most likely to want to add onto my team the first time I step out into the Hoenn region to go alongside my starter as a teammate. Just everything about them screams Hoenn adventure, and that's why I love both of these Pokemon equally for very similar reasons. Despite the fact that they have very different roles on the team to fill, and often I'll add them both onto the team. Number 4, Blaziken/Torchic. Not so much Combuskin, but Blaziken and Torchic. If you had asked me 2 years ago what my favourite starter of all time was, I probably would have said Blaziken. And I don't know why. Sometimes in artwork, Blaziken looks wicked. I love the original artwork of Blaziken, and I love its Mega as well, and Torchic is just really cute as a starter. I don't know, if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have said it's my favourite, but maybe not now anymore. When I look at the 3D model of Blaziken, I can often feel very disappointed. I don't know, something about that transition from 2D to 3D just didn't work for Blaziken, but I do still really love it, and I have fond memories of using it in my copy of Pokemon Ruby. It was my starter Pokemon, it was the second starter of Hoenn that I ever used, and it's still very much up there. Plus, as a bird keeper, Empoleon, Decidueye, and Blaziken are always going to hold a very special place amongst the starters for me. But Blaziken, not my favourite anymore. I don't know if it was just the 3D or what did it, but certainly when I play those older games, I do think Blaziken looks really, really cool. Plus, you can always picture it using Blaze Kick. Whenever it learns Blaze Kick, when it evolves, I can just see it when I'm playing the games, you know? Number 3, Feebas. Oh yeah. Not Milotic. Milotic's great, Milotic's cool. But Feebas. Oh, what a good idea for a Pokemon. Take the Pokemon that's famous for being rubbish and then make it great somehow by making a version of it called Feebas. Feebas, it looks just like a Magikarp, except it's exceptionally rare. And having to find it in Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald as well, it was only on 6 tiles of the route where it exists, and those 6 tiles randomize. Yeah, getting hold of a Feebas and then evolving a Feebas. Why is it such a challenge? I love it. I think it's derpy. I think it's Pokemon trolling us as players. I love Feebas. I don't think we've really had in generations following. I mean, okay, Generation 4 Spiritomb was kind of rare. The 1% Munchlax tree, that's kind of rare. In Unova, Zoroark maybe, but you get gifted as Zorua. And after that, there's just never been anything quite like the rarity of Feebas in the original Generation 3 games. And that's why Feebas is absolutely number 4. Sorry, no it's not, it's number 3. Number 2 on this list, going back to a legend, it's Jirachi. I have a completed version of Pokemon Channel. I know for you in the US and elsewhere in the world, you have a special bonus disc for Colosseum that gives you Jirachi, but here in the UK, you have to play through Pokemon Channel. And I say play through Pokemon Channel because really you watch Pokemon Channel for like a day of your life. You watch all of the weird little side channels, the Meowth news show, or Psyduck news show, and there's one with Smoochum where I think Smoochum or Squirtle tries to sell you stuff, and there's the Pichu Bros movie, and it's actually a little bit painful to sit through. So I now have a completed version of the game, and I'll probably never play through it again. But every time I finish a copy of Ruby or Sapphire, and I reset the game, I've entered the Hall of Fame, and I do it again and again and again, every single time, I make sure to pop the disc in and grab my level 1 Jirachi, because you get 1 every time you enter the Hall of Fame on Ruby or Sapphire. It's 1 level 5 Jirachi, and it's the only way to get Jirachi in Generation 3, and to this day, it's still usable. You can transfer it to Generation 4 and unlock a special course in the Pokewalker. Or what I did when Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, and this is my real memory of it, playing Alpha Sapphire, I traded myself to join in with my starter, which I chose a Trico that time. To go alongside my Trico, my other starting Pokemon was a level 5 Jirachi from Pokemon Channel. And I didn't even really know about the Delta episode, so to end the game, having Jirachi battling Deoxys in space was very, very cool, and to spend a generation just kind of forming a bond with a Jirachi I think was really awesome. So Jirachi, you're really cool, and that's why you're number 2. But number 1 on this list is the starter of all starters, and I'm sorry Sceptile lovers, it's gotta go to Mudkip, Marshtomp, and Swampert, and Mega Swampert. All 4 of these designs are perfect. I love them. They are the original Generation 3 starter that I picked. When I first chose Sapphire, I picked a Mudkip. They've been memed, yeah, but that's not why I love them. I have so many memories of playing through games with Mudkip. I've played through the games with a shiny Mudkip that I hatched myself. I think the Mega looks amazing. I used to, when I used to play the Pokemon card game back in Generation 3, I had a Swampert and Blastoise themed deck, which kind of worked because Swampert was my Sapphire starter and Blastoise was my Leaf Green starter. There's so many reasons that I love Swampert, and I think Marshtomp is a perfect middle stage Pokemon, and Mudkip is just kind of adorable. These Pokemon are pretty much perfect and pretty much top tier. I don't think I have a bad thing to say about them. Yeah, they're awesome, and even with their quad weakness to the grass type line with Trico and Grovyle and all that, it just makes me love them even more when I overcome my rival in those games. Yeah, those are good Pokemon. Like right now, just thinking about it, I want to start up a save file of Pokemon Sapphire and play with them, and heck, maybe I will after filming. But those are my top 10 Hoenn Pokemon. Of course, next we will be moving on to the Sinnoh region, so look out for that. And if you want to see the videos I've already done about Kanto and Johto, obviously you can check those out. I want to hear your thoughts below. What are your favorite Hoenn Pokemon, and what are your experiences? I'm sorry, Sceptile lovers, True Green, Sobin, M&J, I know you love that guy. I'm so sorry. With that being said, thank you for watching, and of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.
And a massive thank you to those you supporting me on Patreon, including the big patrons of the month, the Nerd Therapist and Gunnar Clovis. Thank you.